10-second window.
Talking about his time in Bondi.
So it ended up being something like Ole! And it stopped. So all our high energy kind of rhythmic stuff is what drew people to us. And we kind of developed on that. And I didn't really know how to play the cajon at first, I was just hitting it. And that's the beautiful thing about this drum is like, if you keep the same rhythm, you do the same thing with your hands, you can do it anywhere around. And get all these different sounds. And you're literally just doing the same thing, just in different positions. And I've got this little castanet thing. And people don't know where this sound comes from, but it's a little castanet that I Velcro on.
One guy in Western Australia to this day is adamant that we mime on stage and use backing tracks because he just won't accept that there's a castanet strapped to the cajon. And he's just not having a bar of it.
It's also because I'm usually lower than the other guys, so they don't think there's a drummer on stage. No one can see me. And also because Tom and Jace are really percussive with their instruments, and so it sounds a lot meatier because we have to work a lot harder to get the energy and the sounds out. Yeah. That's any questions? Yeah. So the question was, what mic do I use for the cajon? I mean, you can use whatever mic you want. One of these vocal mics is good, but I actually have...
You might make it out of noise.
I have this microphone called a boundary mic. And it was actually designed for conferences to put on a table so everyone can speak into it and it can get amplified around the room. But then some genius realized it makes a really good kick drum mic because it can pick up a lot of low-end frequencies and high-end frequencies. That's the kick drum, by the way. So that's designed to like pump out a lot of bottom end. Yeah, so now they use these for kick drums and all kind of drum mics. And that's the one I like to use. It's called a Beta Shure 91. Bunch of names and numbers, but it's really cool.
I might butt in real quick. One kind of old-timer soundy, one of those kind of rusted-on guys that's been doing it forever, gave me the advice as well that you can just get a standard microphone, if anyone knows a bit about microphones, 57s or 58s are super standard rock microphones. And he said, chuck it in a roll of toilet paper and that will give it some padding, and just drop it in the cajon in a roll of toilet paper. So that's an effective method as well. And you can do it without the toilet paper. You can do it with a t-shirt or anything like that, but the microphone actually sits inside the box, which is hollow.
Good job, Jules.
Gracias. This is my friend, my esteemed colleague, Tom Raven.
Hey, Tom.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
I was hoping you weren't going to be able to hear me. I wouldn't have to talk. I lost my microphone privileges a couple years ago, and I don't often get the chance to speak. So my name's Tom. As Jason Jules mentioned already, we went to school together and grew up together. And I guess my story of the guitar kind of weaves a lot with the Kallidad story, but me and Jules used to play drums at school together. I was a drummer as well, but I was never as good as Jules. He was always better than me. So after school, we moved into a flat together in Bondi, and we used to jam a lot. You know, friends would come over and play a lot of music, but Jules was always better than me at the drums. So I started playing guitar a bit, and my brother played guitar when I was younger and everything. And yeah, that's kind of how I started playing guitar, was just through jamming at home. Woo! And because we lived in a small flat in Bondi, we couldn't play the drum kit and the electric guitar and everything because we'd always get noise complaints. And so we started playing the acoustic instruments, you know, the cajon and the guitars and stuff. And we still got noise complaints, funny enough. So we started busking, and that was the real reason. We didn't want to form a band, or we didn't have a plan to form a band or anything really. It was just through you know, circumstances that we started busking on the street, and that's quickly how we formed our sound. And at the same time, you know, yeah, Jace was getting into flamenco guitar, and I was kind of interested in that as well. And yeah, that kind of formed our sound. As for the guitars itself, they're just standard nylon string. Most guitars that you find, electric guitars and such, are steel strings, so they've got steel strings. But these are classic guitars or Spanish guitars, so they're actually nylon string. And it just gives that sound. It's just a bit, you know, a bit more, I don't know, what do you want to call it?
Spanishy.
Spanishy.
It's a bit softer. Steel strings are quite cutting and a bit harsher, which is good for a lot of sounds, but these are softer and rounder.
I like Spanishy. I think that's a good term for it. So originally my approach to the guitar was not really to, I don't know, I guess it wasn't a normal guitarist approach, because I had that drumming background and me and Jules were always, you know, hanging out and stuff. We were just kind of bashing it out and going for a real rhythmic approach to it as opposed to a melody approach. So this guitar has a couple of microphones placed around the body of the guitar. I don't know where exactly they are, but they're in there somewhere. I think there's 5 of them actually. So you can really pick up that, you know, those different sounds around. So that was my kind of early idea, was to just, yeah, have that drum approach. You know, you got like a bass drum sound right on the bridge there, and kind of a snare drum sound, I guess.
Is that the same one that Gabriela uses?
It is actually. There's a duo from Mexico called Rodrigo y Gabriela, and when we were first starting, I guess it must have been, I don't know, were they first starting as well? They'd been around for a couple of years. We were really getting into them, and they have kind of the same a metal background like we do, but they were playing on Spanish guitars, so that was really cool to see. And yeah, there's some few changes you can make as well to the chords themselves to make them sound a bit more Spanishy. I'm going to use that word a lot today, I think. So you can E major, D major, and a C. You know, that's... Well, not yet. It's not that Spanishy. You can play it off here, the bar chords. You know, same chords. Change it to an E minor, a D7, and a C7. And you got that Spanishy feel to it. Ole.
Ole.
And then you can add some percussion as well. So you... I guess, as they've already said, yeah, we all used to hang out together and stuff. We have pretty, I guess, similar musical tastes, you know, musical backgrounds. How we got into it was, we love heavy rock, and these guys used to be in a kind of a heavy rock band, would you call it?
Yeah.
A lot of that, a lot of Doors, Led Zeppelin, you know, Pink Floyd. We kind of grew up on all that stuff as well. But if we were playing electric guitars and drum kits and stuff, I guess it would sound a lot heavier, kind of a lot more metal, you know, like that really fast. And just, yeah, a few kind of subtle changes and you can really make it a bit more Spanishy.
It just seems like we've tried playing the same songs with like a drum kit, a bass guitar, and electric guitar, and it instantly changes. Like it loses that tone and flavour.
If you look at pretty much every band here at Wallaby, the term sustain is when you play a note and the note continues. So for example, if you sustain your voice, you go, oh, and that note can continue as long as you can hold your breath. Or if you have an electric guitar, it can sustain for quite a long time. A flute, a didgeridoo, bass guitar, keyboard. These instruments can sustain almost indefinitely, or at least for plenty of seconds. Nothing on this stage really has any sustain at all. So if one of us plucks a string, if Tom plucks a string, it might last for a few seconds if we're lucky, and it will start to fade in volume maybe after 1 second. So we're always working so hard with our hands actually to physically keep the sound going. Most acts with electric instruments, you can play a note and the sound will continue until you're ready to play a next note. With us, if we're not actually bashing that note or hitting that cajon in that second, the sound will stop. So it keeps us very, very busy, and that's part of that. The nylon string guitars and the cajons lend themselves to that fast, physical, intense style of playing, because if you don't play them like that, your other choice basically is silence or low volume, and we want to have a high energy sound, which is why we're always physically working on the instruments. And that's actually quite unusual because most instruments have sustain.
I can see someone down here practicing your hand movements.
Can you play what you were playing before, but just really slowly for me?
Yeah, I can try. I don't actually know what I was playing before. Yeah, okay. I guess what I'm doing with my right hand, they're kind of traditional flamenco movements. They all have names. I don't really know them. But this one is it's like the fan, it's called. But just playing with every finger, pretty much, you know? For that song's in triplets, so it's in 3, so I actually just use the 3, but... And when you're using a pick, you know, normally you can get just kind of one up and down with one wrist movement, you know what I mean? You can go like... When you're using your fingers individually, you can get, you know, 4 movements, 4 strums with one wrist movement. So you can play a lot faster and be a lot busier, I guess. There's other... Sorry.
I was just going to quickly chime in, just watching Tom do that. He was using 3 fingers, 1, 2, 3 to strike the strings, but he was going ring finger, middle finger, first finger. Whereas if I was doing that, I would go the other way, first, middle, ring. It just shows how you can have different techniques, even when we're playing the same songs. We're playing with backwards techniques, so it's really important to develop your own technique. And I only just found out that he's doing it the backwards the way I would do it, but that goes to show that develop your own style.
I would call my way forward. That's what your way is. Thank you. That's why I lose my microphone privileges. Stupid things like that.
That's another 2 years right there.
Yeah. There's lots of other ones you can do as well. There's one where you can use these 2 fingers together and your thumb and go. So down with those middle 2, down with your thumb, and then back up with your thumb. That's it, yeah. I still to this day practice when I'm walking around on my leg, and you know, you just gotta really do it all the time. And your wrists will kind of loosen up and stuff, but you know, so what would normally be just a single pick movement, you're like you're kind of essentially getting 4, 5 sounds. You know, there's lots of different ones you can do, and then you can start adding percussive sounds into that as well. You know, so.
Mind you, the first time we went on tour, we had to cancel a bit early because Ravo was doing that for a week straight and had no skin left on his fingers.
Yeah, that happened.
For those people who did bring instruments like you, and there's a couple other guitars as well, afterwards we'll be happy to spend some time looking at the guitar, so we show you some stuff and things like that. I'm happy to spend time. I got nothing to do today, so if anyone wants to talk guitar, happy to help, happy to hear you playing, things like that.
Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Yeah.
Excuse me? Have I ever destroyed a guitar? Yes, I've destroyed many guitars. The last time I destroyed a guitar was this guitar's actually brand new. The last time I destroyed a guitar was a few months ago. It doesn't snow much in Australia, obviously, and it never snows in Sydney. So in Switzerland, we were lucky enough to visit a snowy location, and Mr. Bang Bang was throwing a snowball up and down in the air, and I thought if I give it a good whack with the guitar, it will turn into fine powder. And I gave it a good whack with the guitar, and it cracked the whole back of the guitar. So that guitar's now retired. It was honourably discharged. It lives in Switzerland. And we went to Germany. I got myself a new guitar, but one's gone flying off a cliff one time. One got run over by a car.
One's still in Pete's Ridge Festival, you know the...
Yeah, we did. We were playing on New Year's Eve and it was just like totally pumping. Everyone was going crazy. And the electronics on my guitar kind of carked it. And I knew from experience it would have to go to I knew I wasn't able to fix it, and I knew it wouldn't be able to fix on the festival site, let alone on the spot while everyone's going crazy. So I just like quick thinking, I was like, the only way I can save this gig without an anticlimax is smashing the guitar. So we just smashed it apart and everyone in the audience helped, and we tore it into like micro pieces. So there's a graveyard, and I've got a cupboard full of bodies as well. Plenty of, I get a new guitar every year or so.
We go through a lot of guitars, yeah. But we also made that mistake, well, Jace made that mistake because it was your guitar. But Jace used to have this really, really nice Spanish guitar and lent it to me for a while, and it broke.
That's in the graveyard.
And we quickly learned the lesson that with us, tone of the guitars is not, so important. It's not like we're playing beautiful flamenco, where you really want to hear those proper wooden tones in quiet rooms and stuff like that. So the actual tone of the instrument is not as important. So we were, like Jace had this really expensive, beautiful guitar, and it just broke, or I smashed it or something. I don't know, I can't remember.
It did a lot of gigs and a lot of travel, and they just wear down.
So we stopped buying expensive guitars. So we just don't do that anymore because they break just as fast as the cheap ones. Yeah.
You can spend an extra few $1,000s on an instrument and end up with maybe a 5 or 10% increase in sound, and then you're worried about, is it going to break, is someone going to steal it? So we basically use like mid-level guitars, and ideally buy them second-hand where possible, so that we don't cry ourselves to sleep if something does happen to the instrument, which inevitably it does the way that we play.
Any other questions? Who puts the, I'm going to say face paint because it's face paint, not makeup. Big difference. Who puts the face paint on? We do it ourselves, actually. I guess we should talk about the face paint, the elephant in the room. The face paint came up when we first started the band. As I said, we never had a singer, we never had gigs. It was always just busking on the street to get a bit of money. And then, what was I talking about again? Face paint, yes. It's another 2 years, I think. Face paint. Okay, so we were busking. We got invited to our first festival, our first tour ever. That's when I did my fingers, we were pretty rookie at that stage. And we got to this festival, and it was such a good festival. It's kind of like a bush doofy festival down in Victoria. It's called Rainbow Serpent. And everyone just looked so amazing, costumes and everything. And we rocked up in board shorts, barefoot, like we weren't really that professional. So about an hour before the gig, Jules and I ran off to get face paint because it seemed like a good idea. And we get back, and because it's our first festival, Jace is like, nervously walking up and down behind the stage, like wondering, thinking about the gig and everything. Me and Jules get back in face paint, and he's like, oh my gosh, what have you guys done? And there was like 20 minutes, so Jace had to run off and get his face paint. And I was like, and it was cool, it was a good gig and everything, and we thought we'd never do that ever again. And then what happened? I think people saw us. We went to Melbourne afterwards to play, a show in Melbourne, and people who had seen us at the festival came to the gig in face paint, and they're like, "Yeah, have you guys seen this band with face paint? It's so cool." And I was like, "Uh-oh, like, what have we done?" So I think from then on we just kept painting our faces, and it stuck.
We had a band vote. The vote was 2-1 that we should wear face paint. I said we shouldn't because it would be too much effort, but the boys insisted, and I think it was a good idea.
So to answer that question, I got so sidetracked this time.
We didn't realise
we do our own face paint
every single time, though.
The first time we actually tried to do it ourselves, a follow-up gig, we were playing on a boat in Sydney Harbour, and it was like a Corona party or something. And so the backstage area was like one of these little rooms under deck, and that was the first time we had to try and paint our own faces, and the boats just tip in, and we actually tried to paint each other's the first time. And that was like, dude, get away from my eyes, like I got this, I can do it myself. So we had to learn. Any other questions?
How hard are our hands? Mine are pretty much normal. How's everyone else's hands?
I feel like I could chop a tree down.
My fingers get pretty sore. They still get sore.
If we did what we do with steel string guitars, our left hand, the palms, the thumb fingerprints, where you push the strings in, would be ripped apart, and the cuticles of the nails would be bleeding if we tried to do this on steel strings, and it wouldn't sound as good either. So the nylon strings are quite forgiving. But if you play that cajon for about 5 minutes, you'll know about it. It really hurts, and it makes your hands kind of like ham-fisted, like big fat hands, so the cajon hurts a lot.
I don't know how you use the cymbal. That's like, sometimes I have to check the cymbal for him. That hurts.
No, I started taping my fingers up and wearing gloves. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a question.
It helps.
Sorry. Question?
How many drums?
How many drums have you been through?
Cajons, maybe. I've been through about maybe 3 or 4 cajons.
They start to get a bit dead kind of after a while.
They lose their sound, but it's the same as the guitars. If you hit them for long enough, they start cracking, and now they end up as bedside tables or chairs, and suitcases, anything really.
It used to be his suitcase, so we get off the plane and he put the cajon down and unzip the case and take out his shirt and his jacket and his toothbrush and everything that he needs, and it would all just go inside the hollow box.
Now we get extra baggage.
Yeah.
We can answer some more questions a bit later if you have any, but we'll move on now, I guess, to Jason. A bit about Jacinco.
Justin, all right, Tom.
Thank you very much. I always wanted to play the drums when I was a kid, but my mum said it would be too loud to have a drum kit in the house. So I wasn't allowed to play the drums, and I didn't really want to play anything else, but it seemed, just kind of the vibe in my family was that it seemed that when I started high school it'd be nice to play an instrument. So the drums was unfortunately ruled out, and I thought, piano, I don't really want to do that. A family friend bought a saxophone around, and I thought, that's awful, I don't want to do that. And there really wasn't an instrument that appealed to me, because all I wanted to do was play the drums, and to this day that's all I want to do is play the drums. And then I think one of my parents said, look, what about the guitar? And I was kind of like, well, I wouldn't hate playing the guitar, so kind of by default, on my first day of high school I had my first guitar lesson, and I just pretty much fell in love straight away and decided this is the thing that I'm going to do, this is what I like to do, and took it pretty seriously ever since. I always did my practice and stuff like that. But it really, and kind of back to what I said at the start, there was a guitar ensemble at school, so there's about 10 or 15 of the kids in the group, and I was one of the bottom players, but I wanted to be good, so I practiced more, and each year someone would stop or whatever, or someone would grow up and leave school, and I'd move one peg up the guitar ranks at school, but definitely wasn't a natural thing, which is why I encourage young guitarists to practice so much, because if you think I'm a good player, it's proof that sheer practice and sheer passion will get you there without talent, because I truly didn't have the talent. And as I mentioned before, when I finished school, a mate who was a singer wanted to get a band together. We tried the few drummers that we knew. Jules was head and shoulders the best, and we started playing hard rock and heavy metal music, which was cool and great, and I think those were really good bands, but all the other bands we had were using very loud equipment, loud amplifiers, big drums, all this kind of stuff, so it was hard to set up a gig. You get noise complaints, you need a lot of people in the room to kind of make it not weird if you're playing a really huge concert. And our early concerts were just kind of a comedy of errors, tripping over leads, unplugging things. One time I borrowed my friend's Marshall amplifier stack and thought I was, superstar guitarist, and I plugged it in and started playing and fire shot out of it. I said, J-Lo, I think there's a problem with your amp. So that was an expensive day when the Marshall amp shot flames. We had everything you can imagine going wrong. I remember one of the first shows was in kind of a nightclub in Sydney, and I struck the first chord, and the tuner, which was clipped, now we have tuners built into our guitars, but I had a tuning device clipped onto my guitar. Played the first chord, tuner went flying, someone stomped on it, so I played the whole show out of tune really badly. And then that same show, the power died anyway, so we just ended up with a 20-minute drum solo. So we plugged away for many years, always enjoying ourselves, always improving. but with electric style instruments. And this was really a hobby, like the boys have said. This was something we were doing at home, something we were doing because it was fun, and those Tuesday night open mic nights. But it was always the secondary thing, and even when Kallidad started, Jules and I would have gigs that were our serious gigs. And since Tom would always come anyway, and he'd either just help with the drums, or because they were flatmates, he'd be there every single night anyway. So eventually we convinced the pub to hire Tom as a DJ. So in between sets, he would DJ at the Beach Road Hotel in Bondi, and that was fun. But it was always that we had some serious band that we were working on, and we're going to try and get something happening. And in our spare time for fun, we do this. And of course, this was the one from that natural organic thing that kind of took off. Also, when Kallidad started, I suggested to Tom that he practice his lead guitar so that I could play rhythm guitar, because that's my preferred style of guitar. But he said it would be better if I played the lead, so not only did I not get to play the drums as a kid, but then I didn't get to play the rhythm guitar as an adult. So here we are playing the lead guitar. One thing that we want to be is unique. We don't want to be like other bands, so I spend time trying to find unique music and things that are different that other people don't do. I've got a little collection of sounds that are particularly ugly that I like. If I want to inject some drama into the music, I deliberately play notes that are known to be ugly. In music, one of the most harmonious intervals, group shapes between the notes is the octave, where you play two notes the same. For example, if I play an E and then another E, that's to sound nice. The next note after E is an F, and it's an octave plus a little bit, and it's known to sound quite bad. So I like doing that a lot. Like Tom showed you an E major chord before. For most guitarists will know an E major chord. There's the E chord. If I add an F note to an E chord, it becomes ugly. That's a very Kallidad sound. And I can pick it. I use a plectrum, a guitar pick, almost all of the time. Tom uses it sometimes, but less often than me, but I use it almost all the time. If you strum the plectrum kind of here where the sound hole of the guitar, you get that more standard sound. If I come right up here to the bridge, which is where the strings join the body, right up here the back, it's a real kind of ringing sound. A lot sharper, and I can rake that pick. I like to do that. Yeah, I didn't think that was funny, but thanks. And I actually have one long nail, so my right pinky I grow a little bit long, so that even if I don't have a pick, I just have one finger, because a lot of Spanish guitarists grow their fingernails long, but I'm not ready for that kind of commitment. So one nail is good, and I like to do that. A diminished scale is actually kind of like a jazz thing, really, and classical music uses it a lot. A diminished scale is a piece of music that's symmetrical. So if I play every three notes, so you got your guitar there, like I'm going to go 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. So I'm just adding 3 frets each way, and it makes quite an ugly sound because it has no start or finish. It's just this kind of wash of notes. I like to do that. So if I want to inject a bit of chaos, that's a fun thing to do. Also, something that's become a bit of a cornerstone of my playing is the kind of non-notey playing, where usually you play an E note or a G note or an A note or whatever you want, but I like to just get in there, just get my hand. And as the boys said, when we used to go busking, the bus would pull up Bondi Beach and the people would get off, and it's like, lads, you got 10 seconds to see if someone is interested in this music or not. And we discovered by trial and error that the crazier things we do, the more likely we could build an audience when we were busking. So this kind of stuff became part of my style. You could do it on one string. All I'm doing is really pushing that string down a little bit of pressure and picking it, and there's some notes in there. It's much more of a rhythmic thing. There's certainly not aiming for any note, although if I tried really hard, like there's an E, you can find the notes if you really try, but I'm definitely not thinking about that when I'm doing it. Just trying to inject a bit of craziness and something that you can hear and go, oh, that's Kallidad, I've heard that sound, that's the Kallidad sound. That's one of my favourite things to do. I used to use the side of my pick to do this, but it gets worn away. So this pick I used last night, it's got some divots here in the back. I use the back, the flat side of the pick. Turn my volume up a little bit. A bit more. Going for that DJ kind of thing, which is very influenced by Rage Against the Machine's Tom Morello. He does it in a very different way, but trying to sound like a DJ scratching. I like to hold the strings, just they're muted. They're muted, and I get my pick and just... And the idea is kind of that the boys are playing a rhythm or a groove or something like that, and rather than just play another boring melody, I like to do something that has a bit more character, a bit more flair, just a bit of craziness, just to get people's attention and do something unique. And I find it quite expressive. It's a lot more fun when you're on stage to just kind of grab the guitar and just kind of use your whole hand and your whole arm, rather than have to worry too much about what note you're going to play and boring things like that. So I try and avoid that. Sometimes I have to do it. Another thing I do a lot is play scales on one string. So if you go to music school or something like that, they have you do your scales, that kind of thing. Or you can play like a more Spanish scale. I missed a note there. But what I do is I play them on one string. And I think a lot of that subconsciously came from my Greek heritage. My family's from Greece, and in Greek music, the bouzouki, which is kind of the lead guitar of Greece, they do that. And then the ingredient that was added, originally it was added because in those cafes that we were playing in, no one could hear the guitar if you played it normally, is the fast picking. Guitarists out there, all I'm doing when I'm doing that really fast stuff, I'm just picking down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and after enough practice that gets fast. So that's become a real cornerstone of my style, and something not a lot of guitarists would do, is playing all along one string. And sometimes people come up to me after the concert and go, you only play on one string. I'm like, that's not exactly true, but it's kind of true. I play mainly on the highest string of the instrument, because it cuts through. These guys are both low pitched. I like to be high pitched to fill out the sound. And some people are saying it in quite a dismissive way, like, you don't actually do that much, you just go up and down one string. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. That's good fun. Any questions? Excuse me?
When are you going to play a song? He asked.
Oh no.
I think that's sick of us
We're not
talking.
playing songs today, it's just a workshop. This is the only time we get to talk.
No, we can finish with one, I think, maybe later or something.
Well, I might tell you, if you guys want to hear a song or play a song or two, I might just tell you a couple little things. I mentioned from the stage, but there's the concerts next week, Cairns, Townsville, Atherton. Everyone's welcome to those. And we've got our merchandise here. Thank you very much to those of you who have supported us. I can't tell you, as someone who grew up from a very young age, always walking around in a System of a Down or a Rage Against the Machine or a Metallica shirt, I can't tell you what an amazing feeling it is to see someone walk around wearing a Kallidad shirt. That's really something that we appreciate so much. And if someone says, I've been listening to your album when I was out four-wheel driving, or you see someone, it means so much to us. So I just want to say that we're really grateful for your support for that. Mariana's got a setup there where you can see all the things that we have available, and we've gone a bit crazy because we love it. We love merch. She's got all the things that are available there, and they're actually for sale at the merchandise tent. But if you'd like to see with Mariana, she can help you find what you'd like to get, then the merch people can actually help you do that transaction. She's got an email list too, so if you want to sign up and get a monthly bit of information about what we're up to, please do join on with that. We'd really appreciate that. As I said before, we will be around. I can't speak on the guys' behalf, but I will stay around as long as anyone wants for guitar time or photos or talking or whatever, and no doubt the boys will stay around as well, but I can't kind of commit their whole day because they got things to do. But we'll talk guitar for as long as you guys want to. And if you want to hear a song, shall we? Any last questions? Before?
Yeah, there's a question here. How was it in Europe, and did we play in Spain? We have played in Spain before, not this time. We try to go to Europe every year, and I think this was our 4th year or 5th year, maybe.
We went twice in 1 year once, so it's hard to count now.
We try to go every year. We have played in Spain once, and it was cool. I think they were kind of happy to see, 3 gringos giving it a go. But what we play is, it's like, a lot of people call it flamenco or mariachi or something, and it is influenced by that a little bit. But because we love kind of heavy rock and even reggae, and some of our sounds, like Jace was showing, were kind of influenced by electronic music a bit as well. So I think they were kind of more happy just to see something a bit different. You know, flamenco is really kind of, I guess, strict in its ways. You know, like the songs are played always a certain way, and it's really kind of, yeah, strict is the word, I guess. So because we're, I guess, not that good or don't have the time or don't want to spend that much time practicing flamenco, it's really kind of a whole life thing. We just have taken, I'm just watching this dust cloud coming for me. We've just taken a little bit, you know, from flamenco, some cut chords or something and built on that. So I think they were kind of just happy to see it. But yeah, we have been to Spain and we'd love to go back. Any other questions?
I was a bit nervous for that actually, because we were in Cadiz, like in the south of Spain, where that region is like the home of flamenco. So we're kind of thinking, I wonder how this is going to go down. But they loved it.
There was a question, I just saw him. Oh yeah, okay. I'm not going to be able to hear you.
Do you want to come up the front and ask, because we can't hear you from back there?
Here we go.
How many festivals and concerts have you been to?
Gosh, how many festivals and concerts have we been to? Well, I'll say how many have we played, I guess, is the answer. We've been to a lot of concerts and festivals, but as a band playing, we've been doing this now for about 6 years, I think. So, and this is our full-time job now, so I don't know, it's going to be like 200 gigs a year or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Are you counting them all? Or?
Somewhere, yeah, between 150 and maybe 250 in a really busy year. A year.
We've been doing it 6 years, so 1,000.
In the early days, we played 4 nights a week in Bondi. Oh, in Sydney. So Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. We had regular gigs for the first year or so. So what's that? That's 200. So maybe, yeah, 150 to 200 a year. We've played lots of gigs and we spent a lot of time together. And we never get bored of it. We never get tired of it. It's never a chore. We never don't want to be there. That hasn't happened once in our whole lives. We absolutely love it.
And this is our 3rd time at Wallaby Creek Festival. Stoked, so good.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Or did you? Well, thank you very much. That just again came from the, I guess the organic, you know, approach we had to starting this band, because we never wanted to start a band. If we were trying to start a band, we would have, you know, got a singer and got a bass player and used drum kits and, you know, probably sounded like most other bands. But because we were just busking and having fun, and the first gig was like, hey guys, this is really cool, can you come and do it in my bar? And I was like, oh, okay, we don't have any songs, you know, like we ended up playing for 3 hours. So we just like, there was lots of jamming, lots of improv, and then someone else said, hey, come and play at my bar. I was like, oh, okay, you know, like maybe we should come up with a name and, you know, try and come up with some songs. So it was a real natural thing, and I guess that being unique just came from that approach, you know. We weren't really sure what we still don't know what we're doing, so thank you.
Alright guys, thank you for joining us. Thank you for this great experience throughout the festival. We really feel welcome here and at home here, and we're really grateful to see the kids grow up. See some of these Kallidad shirts people wearing are several years old, and we haven't kind of done reruns of them, so there's people wearing vintage Kallidad shirts. That's a really cool feeling and really exciting. Thanks for taking the time out to join us this morning. We'll play a song or two to finish up this session. We invite you, if you want to come up to the front and have a dance, please do, or if you want to just move forwards, please do that. The first song we'll play is called San Juan. We just had a little chat and we chose it because it's deceptively simple. Tom, for the guitarist, is only going to use maybe 5 chords for the whole song. There's an E and an F chord.
I've been there, I didn't see you
A
down here until just now.
G7, F, and E. So he's going to play 2 very simple chord progressions. Give or take, I'm going to go up and down that one string like I always do. Senor Bang Bang's going to play some rhythms, and we'll show you how everything stitches together that we've discussed a little bit today. So this is San Juan. Please do jump up and have a dance if you'd like to. And thanks for being a really attentive and really engaged audience. We really do appreciate that.
And that's Kallidad. This is Kallidad here at Wallaby Creek 2018 in their workshop.
That song has an ending, but we won't play through the whole thing. The boys mentioned those early days where we were playing long concerts before we had any songs, let alone 3 hours worth of songs and things like that. So we were forced to improvise, and we were forced to learn to make small pieces of music go a long way. The example we'll show you now is a song called Jammeretto, where we would basically, to start our concerts off, play 2 chords for as long as we thought we could physically get away with in public before it became a negative thing. So the song has now evolved. It's still very long, but it's evolved and it has some dynamics and things. We even went to the length of adding 2 more chords to it, unfortunately. But we'll show you this song, Jammeretto. Once again, I said to you, musicians and young musicians and people who are playing, it's just simple stuff, practiced a lot, done in a good spirit. So we're just going to play an A minor chord and an E chord, and I'm going to play around with the notes that are appropriate for those chords, and we'll see where that can actually take you with this song, Jammeretto. next song goes for a bit longer, but we'll finish it there so that we can fit in one more, because this fine gentleman came to the stage holding a sign that says, "Can you please play Route 666?" which is one of our new songs that we've been working on. We'll do that, and then that will be the end of our time. Thank you again for joining us. We'll be kicking around here. Come say hello, take a photo, show us your guitar, have a look at our guitar. I would love to hear you play something, happy to give feedback. We're all the same, so come chill, please. And just to finish up, another great experience for us at Wallaby Creek. Here is our newest song, Route 666. Thank you very, very much. For you, boss. Thanks for asking. Cheers for joining us this morning, everybody. We're very, very grateful. If you remember the first time we ever came to Wallaby Creek, we said from the stage that first night, or the second night, we did our first ever workshop at Wallaby Creek Festival a few years ago, because on the application they said you should do a workshop. And we said, oh sure, we'll do a workshop just to kind of try and get on the festival. And then they called our bluff and said, great, we booked you for a workshop. We had no idea what to do. We've actually only done a handful since then, so this is actually still something new for us. Even though the band's been going and we've been playing a lot of concerts, it's actually quite rare for us to do something like this, and we really, really enjoy it. So thank you for joining us. We hope it was time well spent. We hope that you got something out of it, and we're very grateful. Thank you.